Workout B, part 3, is going to be bench dips, supports, leg lifts, and lower back extensions. Again, same schematic as the prior workouts. This exercise here is the bench dip. A little bit different than the regular dip that we used on the upper body press apparatus. Here we're just using a bench, hands facing forward, palms on the bench, just dropping down to about a 90-degree angle between the forearm and the upper arm at the elbow. I'm just pushing up, squeezing the triceps, inhaling at the bottom, exhaling at the top. It's a great exercise focusing on the triceps. Again, another body weight exercise, which, over time you could always throw a weighted vest on as you get used to it. Just as like in most of the other, body weight type training exercises or calisthenics, if you will. Chin-ups, dips, push-ups. You could always throw a weighted vest on when they get easy. In between these sets, as always, getting the oxygen in, deep breaths in the nose, exhaling through the mouth. This section of the workout, like workout A, is going to be more focused on sort of like a push-pull core type of, routine here. And again, the set will stop when, you're struggling to push or you see a drastic change in the tempo of the movement. So you want to stay consistent with the tempo, and then you'll notice the change. And when you feel that change, that's a good time to stop the set. You could do one more eccentric rep and then, give it a shot, another rep. But, as soon as you try to push, if you can't get up, then the set must stop. Taking deep breaths as always. Oxygen in the nose, carbon dioxide out through the mouth. Final set. Squeezing the triceps, squeezing until the tempo changes, until we can't push up anymore. And there you go. This exercise here I call supports. Basically, it's sort of like a shrugging type of movement. So I'm kind of keeping my shoulders locked into place, but I'm just letting my body kind of drop. It's a bit hard to describe, but you kind of like depressing your scapula. You're raising and depressing the scapula. So here you're like you'll do like a shoulder shrug, and then you'll press down, depressing the scapula, pressing through the hands to kind of lift you back up to that support type of position. So this kind of exercise will help you work, building strength for your L-sits and anything where you really need to have that scapula depressed and tight to hold you up. Giving you a few different views here just to so you can have a better view of, how the movement should be worked. And again, it's like you're sort of just lowering yourself, but keeping your shoulders kind of in that same position. And you're pushing up through your hands, but depressing the scapula at the same time. So it's like a shrug and then like a pressing type of movement. Again, same schematic though. Every minute on the minute for 3 sets. Focusing on the breathing between the sets. It's kind of a great stabilization exercise. Again, it definitely helps with maintaining and holding an L-sit position. It's a good sort of ancillary exercise to use with the L-sit row. And we'll give it a shot from the back view. Maybe you'll have a better understanding with the 3 different views that I've shown you here. Certainly feel it in the traps and in the mid-back. So see how the shoulders kind of stay in place, and then you kind of push through the hands and depress the scapula at the same time. Great for arm stabilization. Kind of training those supporting muscles of the mid-back. This exercise here, we're performing a leg lift in a little bit different fashion. With this one, we're getting a deeper stretch at the bottom portion of the exercise. Obviously, this makes it a little bit more difficult since the range of motion is wider. And then through the concentric portion, we're trying to lift the legs, but also at the top, we want to rotate our hips up just a little bit, kind of mimic like that leg lift crunch type of motion. It's a pretty difficult exercise, since especially at the bottom portion of the position, where you're kind of getting that sort of extra stretch. So you need to have that starting strength to move through that stretched position. Again, an exercise that will help greatly with, planches, levers, maintaining that core strength and stability. The hand placement here is just on the front of the bench. Again, it's a grip, but it's not a super tight grip, because we want most of the work to be done with the abs and not the lats and the arms, kind of to help that stabilization. You see, it's a very difficult exercise for an ab exercise. Very different than a crunch, where you could probably bang out, 25, 30, 40, 50 reps even, in one set, where this you're getting, a set of 10, then maybe a set of 5, a set of 3. Definitely give it a shot. One more set coming up, focusing on the breathing. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, getting the oxygen in. We want that energy. Again, maintaining our focus, the mind-muscle connection. We want to stimulate as many muscle fibers as we can here in the abdominals. And you'll see at the top portion of the rep how the hips kind of rotate. They're rotating up, kind of like a reverse crunch type of movement. The exercise here we're doing is similar to the lower back hold that we did in the prior workout, but this time we're doing a raise, basically the opposite of the leg raise we just did. This time we're squeezing the glutes and the hamstrings, working on the posterior, side of the core, lower back focused, glute focused. Through this exercise, you want to keep your feet together, pointing the toes. You may get a little flex in the quads as well. You want to keep that sort of lever type movement, through the leg. So your whole leg should be kind of held tight, squeezing and flexing all the muscles of the lower body. And then as we raise, we want to kind of raise our heels to the sky, squeezing the glutes and flexing the lower back. On the descent of this movement, we just want to lightly touch our toes to the ground. And once those toes hit the ground, we want to start the raise back up. So lightly touch and then raise again, squeezing the glutes. Big emphasis on the glutes and the lower back. And a little bit of static holding through the quads and the hamstrings. Again, the grip here on the bench, when we're setting up this exercise, is just a light grip, but enough to stabilize, but not too much where the stability shifts to like the lats and the shoulders and the arms. We want to be able to stabilize through the lower half of our body, from the lower back down. Great exercise to help with, again, the planche, front levers, things of that nature where, you're not really used to holding your body, upright, parallel to the ground, with no stabilization through the feet, like having your feet on a bench or something like that. Like similar to like the body row type of movement where our feet were on the bench. So this will help us keep our legs up in the air. And there you go. And that wraps up this section. Thanks for watching, guys.